I mean, let's be honest. Going into the season, the Vegas number on this was 7.5 wins. Most people thought they were a 7-9 or 8-8 team.
Yeah, that's where I had them.
And I had them at 8-8, and they finished 7-9. But when you throw in the 20 injuries, 20 guys on injury reserve, 10 of whom have started games for them, you'd say that's pretty darn remarkable. But the way you finish means so much about how you think about things. And the fact of the matter is, 3 of their last 5 games were 3 of their worst games of the year. And it just leaves an awful taste in your mouth. And we could have gotten away from some of it, even if they had beaten a bad Giants team. And believe me, the last 3 teams they played were bad. But it just put a difference in the whole season. It's just a really, really just way to end the year.
It absolutely is. And, for one thing is Arizona is not as bad as, like, the Giants or even the Broncos, and they still finished 500. So they just had a bad quarterback.
Right.
And, the one thing the Redskins did face this year were a lot of really good quarterbacks. And so I always kind of laugh when people say, well, they faced Blaine Gabbert. And always, well, that's what other teams are facing a lot more of, too. So, so I don't look at it like that, but I do look at that last game. To me, it's like you have to win that game. And it wasn't so much, they played poorly against the 2-13 team. Yeah. And I think that's what leaves for now, it's going to leave a bad taste. And even if they had won that game, you're still going to have to look at the season the same way. That,
Injuries were, schedule is bad, but the schedule could be bad too. So you overcome that. And you hear things like what DJ talks about, some of the preparation stuff. And when he has talked about it's usually focused back on the players themselves, because there are things that guys can do on their own time that make a difference in games. And that's what the really, really good players do. And so I think there's some of that, and so it's a disappointing way for them to end the season. Wouldn't have changed anything necessarily, but it's certainly disappointing.
Well, and I tell you talk about next year, and I started doing this last week when the schedule was finalized. Now, we don't know when they play, but we know who they play. And assuming everyone comes back from injury, and I assume most of them will, you're going to play Matt Ryan. You're going to play Cam Newton. You're going to play Deshaun Watson, Andrew Luck, Aaron Rodgers, and then, of course, your division foes, Dak and Carson Wentz should be back. And I assume, actually, Eli will be back. And then I haven't even mentioned Drew Brees yet. Jameis Winston can hurt you. Bortles, who knows what's going on there? Mariota, who knows? I mean, next year's schedule could be brutal.
It could be really bad. And the thing is, though, and it's like I've learned this a long time ago. We've all seen this. You never know. And the way it unfolds, you wouldn't have thought that the Giants would be 2-13 going into the finale this year. It turns out they didn't win the game, but you thought that would be a really tough closing game for different reasons. And so you never know. You don't know how guys develop. It's all about guys being healthy and all that. But yes, if things play out the way it looks, that's going to be a difficult schedule again.
What is there to look forward to? I mean, that's really a question I want to talk about over these next few months. I mean, let's just assume they do something and they tag and Kirk is here for one more year and Jay is still here. What is there to be excited about?
Well, at least you have a shot.
I guess you have a quarterback.
At least you have a shot at winning some of these games if you have a quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think if they stay healthy, then you have to say, okay, what better or what more can they do if they stay healthy? I mean, I think there have been years in the past where if you had looked at this schedule against the quarterbacks they faced, again, and with the injuries they had, that they're not getting to 7-9. So there's something there that's a little bit more than what's been in the past. So I think you can at least, from the optimistic point of view, you can look at it like that and say they did survive better than I think most people would have thought, given what, all the elements. I think defensively, they're still, I don't think they're far off from improving, but, then it's like, okay, does Jonathan Allen stay healthy? Can he play all 16? What more do they add? How much can they add if they use the franchise tag on Kirk Cousins? How much can they actually add? I think that, to me, is a factor as to why maybe you don't use the franchise tag, a big reason why. I think those would be some of the reasons why you look at it and say it's health. It's all about the health. If they stay healthy, if Jordan Reed can play, 12 to 14 games instead of 6, that makes a difference. If Josh Doxson develops, it will make a difference. I think they have to add a running back. So I think a lot of it will do. That optimism will have to come from some of the moves they make in the off season too.
Man, that 1-5 in the division just looks really bad, John.
That's bad. That's really bad. Yeah, I agree.
And I'll say this: the Redskins and the Giants were two of the most injured teams, and that's why I kind of hang the hat. I say, look,
who are they going to beat?
They weren't good, but you start getting to the Tyler Catalinas of the world at left tackle, you're not going to beat anybody.
Well, who are they going to beat in the division?
It was brutal because he had no chance and be playing, and that you'd want him to play right now. So that's why I say, a lot of what happens, like you could have looked and said, if someone had laid out the scenario for me before the season that this is what's going to happen, I had them at 8-8.